Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of the Palmetto State, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this third installment of Most Haunted Places in South Carolina, we delve deeper into the shadows cast by ghostly legends, uncovering tales so spine-tingling they'll leave you questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. From antebellum plantations steeped in tragedy to Civil War battlefields echoing with the cries of fallen soldiers, South Carolina is a treasure trove of spectral stories rooted in sorrow, betrayal, and unrelenting grief. South Carolina's haunted places are more than just locations, they're vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time: bloody skirmishes, forbidden romances, unsolved murders, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lanterns, and disembodied voices that drift through empty halls. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted locales across South Carolina, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted mansions cloaked in mystery, explore eerie graveyards teeming with restless spirits, and tread cautiously through abandoned institutions that still echo with the footsteps of those long gone. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of South Carolina, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Old Charleston Church ruins, a Gothic spectacle of sorrow nestled amidst the moss-draped oaks and rolling fields of Beaufort County. The ruins of the Old Charleston Church stand as a haunting testament to both architectural beauty and human suffering. Originally constructed in 1753, this Episcopal church was one of the first in the United States built in the Greek Revival style, its towering columns and elegant facade evoking a sense of divine grace. Yet beneath its crumbling remains lies a darker narrative, one marked by war, destruction, and the lingering presence of those who once worshipped within its sacred walls. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Old Charleston Church ruins revolves around its fiery demise during the American Revolutionary War. In 1779, British forces torched the church, reducing its wooden interior to ashes while leaving its stately stone structure intact. Decades later, the church was rebuilt, only to be burned again during the Civil War by Union troops seeking to dismantle Confederate strongholds. Locals believe the spirits of those who perished in these fires remain trapped within the ruins, their anguished cries carried by the wind. Visitors frequently report hearing faint whispers emanating from the scorched brick walls, as though parishioners are reciting prayers frozen in time. Another prominent figure in the church's haunted lore is believed to be Sarah Marion, a young woman who fell victim to a tragic love affair in the mid-1800s. According to local legend, Sarah became engaged to a Confederate soldier named James, who promised to return from battle to marry her. When news of his death reached her, she fled to the church in despair, collapsing among the ruins before succumbing to grief. Modern-day explorers recount sightings of a translucent figure in a tattered white gown wandering the grounds, her face obscured by tears. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, while others describe hearing soft sobs echoing through the empty archways. The churchyard surrounding the ruins has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Grave markers bearing weathered inscriptions serve as silent sentinels guarding the souls interred below. Visitors walking among the tombstones often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Others report seeing apparitions of men and women dressed in period clothing, their faces gaunt and weary, standing motionless near the graves of loved ones. Paranormal investigators exploring the Old Charleston Church ruins have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the altar where services were once held. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure kneeling before the remnants of the pulpit, its hands clasped in prayer. These findings have solidified the site's reputation as one of South Carolina's most active haunted locations. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, the Old Sheldon Church ruins continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the atrocities committed in pursuit of power and survival. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Old Sheldon Church ruins offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The Battery Carriage House Inn, a haunted haven of history perched atop a hill overlooking Charleston Harbor, the Battery Carriage House Inn stands as a beacon of Southern charm and elegance. A historic bed and breakfast whose opulent interiors conceal a darker narrative steeped in tragedy, betrayal, and spectral encounters. Built in 1843, this stately mansion quickly became a retreat for wealthy merchants, politicians, and socialites seeking refuge from the bustling streets of downtown Charleston. Its mahogany furnishings, crystal chandeliers, and lush gardens evoke a sense of timeless grace, yet beneath its polished veneer lies a haunting legacy that dates back over a century. One of the most iconic hauntings associated with the inn revolves around Room 10, said to be haunted by the spirit of a jilted lover named Emily. According to local lore, Emily checked into the inn under the pretense of meeting her fiancé, only to discover he had abandoned her for another woman. Overcome with grief, she took her own life in the room, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow that continues to haunt visitors today. Guests staying in Room 10 frequently report strange occurrences: lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of roses lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. Another prominent figure in the inn's haunted lore is believed to be Captain John Ravenel, a Confederate officer who frequently stayed at the property during the Civil War. Though not a permanent resident, his larger-than-life personality left an indelible mark on the mansion. Visitors recount sightings of a tall, imposing man clad in military attire, pacing anxiously near the windows or sitting alone in the parlor. His presence is often accompanied by the faint clinking of spurs and the smell of gunpowder, as though he's preparing for one last battle. Some speculate that Captain Ravenel lingers due to unfinished business, unable to part ways with the city he fought so valiantly to protect. The inn's basement, once used for storage and servant quarters, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a janitor who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the inn's early years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Modern-day investigations into the Battery Carriage House Inn's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the third-floor hallway and the basement. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "I'm sorry," and "Let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Battery Carriage House Inn continues to draw visitors eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. For those brave enough to book a stay, the opportunity to encounter Emily, Captain Ravenel, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural splendor or the thrill of peeling back the layers of its enigmatic history. The Litchfield Plantation, whispers of slavery and sorrows deep in the low country of South Carolina, shrouded by Spanish moss and suffocating humidity, lies the Litchfield Plantation, a sprawling antebellum estate whose beauty belies a harrowing past steeped in slavery, brutality, and unrelenting grief. Built in the early 1800s, the plantation thrived on the forced labor of enslaved Africans, whose blood, sweat, and tears fueled its prosperity. Today, the Litchfield Plantation stands as a grim reminder of America's darkest chapter, its haunted halls echoing with the cries of those who suffered unimaginable horrors within its walls. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the plantation centers around the whipping tree, a massive oak located near the slave quarters. Historical records indicate that this tree was used to punish enslaved workers deemed rebellious or disobedient. Tied to its branches, they endured public lashings meant to instill fear and obedience. Decades later, visitors exploring the plantation report hearing faint moans and the crack of whips emanating from the area surrounding the tree. Some claim to see shadowy figures huddled at its base, their faces obscured by darkness, while others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they approach. Another haunting figure associated with the Litchfield Plantation is believed to be Margaret Dupree, the plantation owner's wife, whose life ended in tragedy. According to local lore, Margaret discovered her husband's infidelity and confronted him in a fit of rage, only to be pushed down the grand staircase and killed instantly. Her ghost is said to wander the second-floor landing, her ethereal form clad in a tattered white gown. Guests staying overnight have reported waking up to the sound of footsteps descending the stairs, followed by a deafening crash, as though someone has fallen again. Others describe seeing a pale woman staring mournfully out of upstairs windows, her expression frozen in eternal anguish. The plantation's fields, once cultivated by enslaved laborers, remain a focal point of paranormal activity. Visitors walking through the overgrown acres often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to hear disembodied voices calling out in languages unfamiliar to modern ears, believed to be the dialects spoken by those who toiled under the scorching sun. Others report seeing apparitions of men and women in tattered clothing, their faces gaunt and weary, working tirelessly even in death. Paranormal investigators exploring the Litchfield Plantation have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the slave quarters and the main house's kitchen. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing in the doorway of the whipping tree, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified the plantation's reputation as one of South Carolina's most active haunted sites. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, the Litchfield Plantation continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the atrocities committed in pursuit of wealth and power. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Litchfield Plantation offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The Fort Sumter National Monument, echoes of war beneath the waves standing sentinel at the entrance to Charleston Harbor. Fort Sumter is a somber reminder of the bloodiest conflict in American history, the Civil War. This fortified island, where the first shots of the war rang out in April 1861, has become synonymous with division, sacrifice, and the haunting specter of lives lost in the name of ideology. While its crumbling brick walls and rusted cannons evoke a sense of stoic resilience, they also harbor stories of tragedy and spectral encounters that continue to captivate visitors to this day. One of the most persistent legends tied to Fort Sumter involves the ghost of Private Thomas Wilson, a Union soldier stationed at the fort during its final days of occupation. According to historical accounts, Wilson was fatally wounded during an intense bombardment. His body never recovered from the debris-strewn battlefield. Locals believe his spirit remains trapped within the fort, eternally searching for peace. Tourists exploring the site often report hearing faint whispers carried by the sea breeze, as though soldiers are reliving the chaos of battle. Others describe seeing a translucent figure in uniform pacing restlessly along the ramparts, his rifle slung over his shoulder. The waters surrounding Fort Sumter also bear witness to countless tragedies, from ships sunk during naval blockades to sailors lost to storms and enemy fire. Many believe residual energy from these maritime disasters remains trapped beneath the waves, manifesting as phantom sounds of cannon fire and distant screams. At night, when the fort is bathed in moonlight, some visitors swear they can hear the low murmur of conversation mingled with the splash of oars, as though a ghostly fleet continues to patrol the harbor. Adding to the fort's haunted allure are the countless prisoners of war who were held in its dank cells during the conflict. Records show that hundreds of Confederate soldiers endured starvation, disease, and isolation within its walls, their fates often sealed by neglect or execution. Modern-day explorers recount eerie encounters inside the fort, including sudden drops in temperature and the sensation of being watched. Some claim to see shadowy figures pacing restlessly near the edges, their forms dissolving into mist when approached. Others report feeling an inexplicable urge to flee, as though compelled by an unseen force. Paranormal investigators exploring Fort Sumter have captured compelling evidence of its supernatural activity. Thermal cameras reveal cold spots concentrated near the powder magazines, where munitions were stored during the war. Audio recordings pick up fragmented phrases like, "Hold the line," and "Retreat," delivered in tones of sheer desperation. One particularly unsettling discovery came when a team member set up motion-activated cameras overnight, capturing footage of a translucent figure standing motionless at the midpoint of the parade ground before vanishing without explanation. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Fort Sumter remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. Its picturesque setting and rich history make it a favorite spot for photography and educational tours. For those brave enough to venture onto the island after dark, the promise of encountering Private Wilson or one of the countless other spirits said to linger adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor steps onto the weathered bricks, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past? Or will they become another chapter in the fort's macabre legacy? Themes of tragedy and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of South Carolina, from the opulent halls of the Battery Carriage House into the somber grounds of the Litchfield Plantation, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of sanatoriums to the shadowed basements of courthouses, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. The core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears, the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged, shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through South Carolina's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of South Carolina's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.